time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielson, Gage, Cass, and Hernan Salas, all brought to you by our friends at CoolBet. Visit them online at coolbet.com. You can get the Oilers at plus 2,100 right now to win the Stanley Cup, as Gage was just telling us. If you sign up for an account, use the bonus code 2GUYS, number 2 in the word guys, and you get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. If you're watching on the live stream, sub to the podcast. Just search Two Guys and a Goalie on all your podcasting platforms so you do not miss an epi, as they say in the biz. Gager, what's that warm drink you're getting right there? A hot toddy? What is that?
Well, it's nice to have the kids at home because I actually have a built-in barista now. that's her there. So I said, get me a coffee, and she goes to the old the Breville machine and whips me up a nice little Americano, or should I say Canadiano?
Write your name on the cup too?
She tries, but that doesn't fly. No.
Isn't Americano like a small?
It's small. It's but it's a Canadiano. It's just a little bit bigger.
So is there a shot of espresso in these things, or how does that work?
I usually go double shot espresso and then just hot water and go with that. I like it strong. I like it black and strong, Dusty. I won't lie to you.
I'm not even commenting on that one, buddy. So are you joking about the espresso, or do you have 2 shots of espresso? Like, is that how it works? I don't even know coffee. I hit
there's a button, right? And it's got the grinder built in. So grind my own beans and then press the double shot into the cup. And then I just have the little dial, goes to the hot water, puts it in there. Boom.
Cass, are you an espresso guy?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I like it. And all day. I'm not as big on Americanos. Like, I love lattes. Give me a little hot frothy milk in there. Love my hot frothy milk. But Americanos are good too. Like, if you have good beans and you do a good espresso, Americanos can be really, really good.
Now, espresso, is that like the super duper shot of caffeine? Is that like I'm being serious? Okay, because I've only ever had espresso once in my life, and it was a memorable day. I'll never forget it. My roommate at the time, he used to like to go down to Chapters and read and have coffee and shit. And so he brought me with him one day, and he goes, hey, we're gonna get you just a shot of espresso. That's it, just one little sort of little shot thing. So I took it, went back home, and pitched a perfect game with Bartolo Colon against my other roommate in a baseball game. It was the only perfect game I ever pitched against a human, and it's when I was flying high on espresso. So I'll never forget that day. So I can't believe you guys are on this every day. I should get into this game. It feels like it could be exciting for me.
Just once. Do it on your show, Dusty. Just once. Like on a Friday, add the beers afterwards. Just see what actually happens. That's what I'd love to hear. That would be great.
Yeah,
you'd probably be dead by 9.
I don't do it every day either. I save the espresso for special days, or just if I'm feeling like it. But you know what's funny is I never used to drink coffee. I only did it on game days, and I'd have a double espresso before a game on game days, and that was it. Like, that was the only time I did it. Just as a little boost and a little pick me up before games, and then I had kids. And then coffee started happening all the time. Now it's regular. But those double espressos, they'll get you, Dusty. It's just like super concentrated coffee. That's all an espresso is.
Yeah.
So you can get a little bit more flavor, a little bit more caffeine, a little bit more of the good stuff.
I might try that one day on the show, the espresso show. That's it. Let's just see what happens. It'll be insane. All right. So Hernan, I don't know if you caught up on Monday's episode or whatever, but Cass did announce that he caught up on Yellowstone on Monday, which means we can finally get to our Yellowstone spoiler episode here. And I do. If you're watching on the live stream right now, we'll get to hockey. Okay. If you're listening to podcasts, lots of hockey talk today, but we've been waiting months to get to this end of season 3 here in Yellowstone. I know we talked about it a little bit before we went to air last episode too, but now we can get to who ordered the hit in the end of season 3 of episode. And Hernan, since you weren't here on Monday, we don't know where you come out on this just yet. So who do you think ordered the hit on the Dutton family at the end of season 3?
It was the girl that Beth screwed over with that with the media. You remember when she's like, they're in the office, they're all meeting, and then she goes to Buddy with the brown hair. I can't remember their names right now, and she's like, "You do it," and he's like, "You want me to do it like we used to?" And she's like, "Yeah." So like, yeah,
like we used to do in that other country or whatever.
Yeah. So it's those two for sure, and I love shows that leave you hanging like that. Like my girlfriend was so mad. She's like, "How can you leave?" I'm like, "Well, that's the point. They suck you in and they want you to wait." And I loved it because you just don't know what the hell happens. I'm assuming, like, I have my what I think is going to happen in season 4 and who's going to be gone and who's going to still be there. But yeah, it's definitely those two that definitely ordered that hit.
Boys, any other theories?
I think it's someone. They're gonna go a different direction. It's gonna be someone that they're gonna introduce in season 4, like that's coming in. Someone else.
Oh, out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere. It's just gonna be like they've been lurking in the weeds, or it's someone that we barely expect to have something in a stake in this game. I think it's gonna go a completely different way.
Is Jamie part of it too?
Ooh, maybe. Yeah.
So this is mine. Yeah. This is my thought. I think it's both. I think
that's what I was gonna say.
Yes, Jamie is responsible for some of it, and then the market equities group is responsible for some of it.
Completely separate though, Cass, or together?
I think separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think separate, and it just ends up happening at the same time. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's both. And it happens at the same time, which is just bizarre to me. And so here's the thing with Jamie, because Jamie's a lawyer, and I don't think he would be responsible for John Dutton. I don't think so, because from an estate standpoint, like they've already put the ranch in a trust. So John Dutton he doesn't own it anymore. It's in a trust. So you have Beth and Casey are the only ones that own it. So since they're the only ones that own it, they're the ones that needs to go for him to have authority to be able to. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if he was working with market equities in that to be able to sign. But I do think there's both. Like, yeah, because if Casey and Beth are gone, then Jamie has sole control. But then if John's gone, that could just be a hate thing. So I don't know, man. That's
That guy's name is Rourke.
Yeah, Sawyer from Lost. Rourke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. I like him a lot. He's good.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude, man. He's a cool guy. All right. We got 4 cool dudes right here ready to talk hockey as well. It's Nielson, Gage, Cass, and Hernan. We'll text more about Yellowstone in our group text a little bit later on because I got a few other theories I want to get to. All right. We'll get to Chris Abbott from Coolbet. He's going to pop by here in about 15 minutes time, and we'll get to Keep It or Clip It. Got 4 questions for you guys a little bit later on, but let's start with We Got to Talk About It, brought to you by Break Kings, a card breaking group that we've partnered with. Find them on Facebook, Break Kings with a Z. My next break there will be on Sunday, but they've got breaks, 2 or 3 breaks going basically every single day. So if you're into that card collecting game, Break Kings with a Z on Facebook is where you want to go. Cass, we got to start with you, buddy, because everybody's talking about it. What do we got to talk about here, man?
Well, I want to talk about the whole Capitals Rangers situation, starting with the Tom Wilson hug. Let's call it a hug / smash. And just the ensuing situation. First and foremost, the absolute ridiculousness of New York's tweet. I don't know, and people were trying to, Davidson and Gordon were trying to separate themselves from saying, oh, we didn't know about the tweet. We didn't want it to go out. Come on. They probably knew about it, or it was based off of internal conversation that was pushed by that. Like, you don't make tweets like that without someone telling you to pull the trigger. And just absolutely absurd and ludicrous given the situation. I got fired up about it the other night. I'm still fired up about people even suggesting like, oh, you need to get Wilson out of the league and suspended indefinitely and this and that. Like, come on. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad at all. I know, like, I can't remember which one of you was it retweeted, or maybe it was even someone else. It's like the next night, like Crosby's trying to smash someone's face into the ice, and it's like, oh, where's the people that are saying ban Crosby for life? Like Crosby should be suspended indefinitely for trying to smash someone's face into the ice, and it's just ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. And then New York with a statement, again, just ludicrous. The NHL did the right thing, which is fine him. That was the right decision. And then, New York goes from whining to all of a sudden, oh, now we're going to stand up for ourselves. Like, which should have just been the response in the first place. Like, I have no problem with what Smith did. I mean, you're upset about that. You want to change it and stand up, then do what he did. Go jump him. And that's what happened. And they had other guys that stood up there too, that went through some of the nastiness. So I've heard so much talk about how the police are the ones that, or the refs are the ones that are supposed to be policing the game. And they do to an extent, but every once in a while, I think you need to realize that in this game, the players still have a job to police themselves. And if you have somebody running around like Tom Wilson, you need to stand up to him. Whether not even necessarily through fighting, like you need to match the physicality from a you're going to hit guys, you're going to run guys, you're going to try to cleanly do it. Just put people through the wall, and
Come back, Cass. You're in the middle of an excellent rant right there. Come back. Not now. You damn internet at work. That's frustrating. Cass will reconnect. He's got more to say. I know that, but
he's still going on. He doesn't know he's disconnected yet. So we might not see him for another 10 minutes.
I'll just do Cass voice off the screener. and the analytics that say what happened at that fight. Okay, there we go. He's reconnected. Gage, give me your thoughts on everything that went down as I bring Cass back in here. Give me 2 seconds.
At first, I thought, he's gone for a long time, but I thought his stick was actually over, like driving his neck into the ice, and it was underneath. And so, there was another little shot in there, but I didn't think it was that bad. I kind of like that style of hockey. Like the Capitals are a scary team. You got him, and then if something really goes wrong, you got Chara. That's just that. I like the fear factor of it all. I think, it didn't warrant a huge suspension. I think they got it right, and it was policed the next game. In my opinion, that's what this year was supposed to do, was create a better rivalry in divisional play. And I think now going forward, that a ticket to a Rangers Capitals game is going to be more sought after than it was before, just because they now have a really serious history.
We'll bring Cass back in here in just a second. We'll give Hernan a sec here as well. But Dangle Dump on the live stream says Cass left because he's having contract talks with the Rangers as we speak. They reached out mid-rant. It was like, let's go. Cass, I think you'd said a lot of what you wanted to say when we lost you, but just maybe come back and just wrap that one up for us.
Well, that's most of it. I just, and I love Johnny Scott. We were teammates, and he's saying he should be suspended for 40 games, like for that. And I was just like, it's just absolutely ridiculous the way that people thought this was the worst thing in the world. Like it wasn't. It's because it was Tom Wilson. People get upset and foolishly react to it versus responding to it. Fine again with what New York did in the next game. The tweet was dumb. And I think, you see Davidson and Gordon get fired, but that, to be honest, probably didn't have to do much with the whole situation, and just more from how the season went for them. But I don't know. I got mad about everyone just ragging on Tom Wilson for that. I thought it was funny, the flexing in there, because they didn't have anyone to deal with it. And then, Smith tries, and Wilson probably hurts his hand or his shoulder because he was swinging, and Smith, if he would have caught him with a couple of those, it would have been oof. But good for Smith for trying, at least.
Hernan, where do you come out on all this? Because it's a weird thing, because if you come out and say, I thought the NHL handled it well, you're a Neanderthal who's ruining the game that they're trying to create now. So it's weird, because I'll watch it and then I'll see like 9 people exaggerate on different things one way or different things the other way. And I have such a hard time even just coming up with my own opinion on it. So where did you come out on this?
Yeah, it's a great way to great way to say it, Dusty. And I'm kind of with Gage. At first, I was like, "Oh man, this guy again, like idiot." And then you calm down and you look at it, and you're like, yeah, that does happen a lot." I mean, he does play on that line. He is greasy. He's effective. He's a good player, man. Like he is. He's a top 6 guy. But yeah, after looking at it, sure, he drives Panarin into the ice, no helmet. But you've seen that happen other times. You saw Cass on Kachuk a couple of years ago. So I'm kind of all over the place too, because even when the brawl hit yesterday, Dusty, Twitter was all over the place. Like, look at these idiots. Like,
I loved it.
I loved it too.
I saw them drop their gloves, and I was just like, everybody's going to be fine. It's a bunch of guys who don't really fight anyway. They're not landing major bombs in that situation.
And I loved it because everybody was willing. All 6 fights outside of Wilson, because Smith just went and grabbed him, and then Wilson wasn't going to decline that fight. But all the 5 other fights, they all wanted to go. It's not like no one jumped anyone. No one was getting sucker punched. So I was totally okay with it. So, like, I'm kind of with you, Dusty, where I'm all over the place because you see different reactions from media and former players like LaRocque's like, sign me up for 1 game, Rangers. I'll take care of Tom Wilson. Like, so I'm like, I still don't know where I'm at with this. Like, it is what it is. Tom Wilson got hurt, which is it's not funny, but it's kind of like, well, I mean, it's fitting that now who knows how long he's out for, because he had to fight Smith. Kudos to Smith, who took on a bigger guy.
He knew he was going to take a little bit of a beating there. Good for him.
He's lucky Wilson didn't connect. But I'll be honest, I love that yesterday because everybody was willing to do it. No one was jumped, and it was face to face. And you know what? And one guy tweeted at me, and he was like, "Oh, the Rangers got beat up in every fight." Doesn't matter, man. They stood there and they threw and they took some and whatever. They stood up for what they believe was an unfair fine for Tom Wilson. And honestly, this was all a big FU to the league by the Rangers. They knew they were going to get fined, and Buchnevich is going to get suspended for his cross-check to the face of Mantha, but it is what it is. I didn't mind it at all. And I'm coming around on the Wilson scenario too. At first, I was with Gage, but now it's hockey, man.
Did Chris Drury actually call you there, Cass? Is that why you had to step out for a second?
What's the terms in the deal? Let us break it.
You know what? I mean, we laugh like about Georgie doing that, but there's an element of truth to it, that it's like, if you think it's that big of a deal, then do something about it. Don't tweet about it. Like, do something about it. Don't tweet about it, which they kind of did. You know, they internally, the team, the players, not the organization, but the players basically said, no, we don't agree with this. We don't like it. We're going to stick up for ourselves. And that I am totally fine with. Will it lead to an escalation? Probably not. You know, fighting numbers are still continuing to drop, and they will continue to drop. But yeah, on occasion, you're still going to see stuff like this happen. And I'm pretty sure that because New York has people in the building, do they not? They have some?
There's some fans there, yeah.
Or there's some fans there? Like, yeah, it really sounded, from what I could hear, like the fans that were there were really bored when that was going on at the start of the game. They weren't into it or excited at all. Like, it was just horrible for the game of hockey. What a horrible publicity stunt that is just, you know, everyone in North America and the US in particular is going to think that just hockey's the worst. And they're just, you know, they're turning the TV off. Every single person turned the TV off. The second that started, they're like, we can't watch this. This is horrible.
You want some ratings? You start putting out one game contracts to guys like yourself, Cass, to come back. And a pay-per-view kind of for certain times of the game.
Cass
will grow the game.
If Tom Wilson does that to Nugent McDavid, you know you're getting a contract here in Edmonton, man. The fans will pay you.
Oh man, I don't know. I need to start working out then.
I just can't believe
on that exercise bike.
I can't believe the spot that we're at where, like, I hop online, and I mean, I guess using online as a reference is a stupid thing to do anyway, but it's where we all are nowadays. So I hop on there and I'm in the thread watching some of the reaction come in, and I see people saying, I don't think the cops should be involved ever since the Bertuzzi thing, but this might be the one that calls for it. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, people were comparing it to Bertuzzi and to Marty McSorley slashing Brashear over the head with a stick. And the bottom line is Panarin jumped on Wilson's back. Wilson turned around, yanked his helmet off, and threw him to the ice. What's he supposed to do? Panarin knows exactly what he's getting into, and good for him for jumping on Tom Wilson because of what Wilson did to his teammate. Good for Panarin. but you know what you're getting into when you jump on Tom Wilson's back, man. How are you expecting that to end with a nice little quick handshake and you both go your own ways? Come on.
No, why? I don't think it was a good job about Panarin at all. You're a little skill guy, like, and it's Tom Wilson. Like,
yeah,
leave it to somebody else. Like,
I don't. It was or cross check him, or slash him. Like cross check him. Go up, skate up to him, and cross check him, and then get out of there. Like that. That to me, the I'm going to wrangle this player who is like 8 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier than me, and a heck of a lot meaner. It just is. It just wasn't smart. It wasn't smart. I don't know what he was doing. It was, yeah. And just to go further with what you said, like to bring the cops in, we'll bring the cops in on Sidney Crosby because he wrestled someone and he pushed him in the ice and he needs to go to jail. Like, give me. I was thinking about it the other day. Would you, if somebody stood on the street and fired 100-mile-per-hour slap shots at randoms, would the cops not get called on that too? Like, pretty much anything you do in hockey, you can't do just in your ordinary life. So it's different. That's one of the worst arguments I've heard as well. So anyway, that was, I don't know if we've spent more time on one topic all season than we just did. We just did 20 minutes on the Caps and Rangers because it has provided us with something to talk about for sure. Chris Abbott is going to join us in just a little bit. I think we got time for one more here. We got to talk about it. So let's go. You know what, Hernan? Let's save the Oilers stuff for after. So let's go to what you got to talk about here. What do we got to talk about?
Yeah, it looks like the playoff picture is getting clear as we go on here, and there's a few teams that have been disappointing this season. Calgary Flames, Philadelphia Flyers, the Blue Jackets to a certain extent, Dallas Stars, who are still in it, but doesn't look good for them. New York Rangers, again, to a certain extent. I just want to get some feedback on the guys, like which team kind of surprised you the most that's going to miss the postseason, because those 5 teams – and when you look at Columbus, when they brought in Patrick Laine, you're like, oh, yeah, they're going to start rolling now. And they just went the opposite way. You saw the Flyers after an excellent season last year. Even they were good in the bubble playoffs. Carter Hart took a step back. Hopefully he can bounce back. Calgary Flames, man, they got Markstrom. We were like, I think I had him top 2 in the North. And the Dallas Stars, I know they were without Sagan for most of the season, but that's a very good team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals. Just some disappointing seasons from some good teams. So I just the feedback on, I guess, which team is the biggest disappointment that's not going to be heading to the postseason.
Man, that's a good question, because I think they're all equally, not all, they're similar, but not all equal in the way that they're not in the play. Like Dallas, it's crazy, but I would have to say the Flames. They're the biggest. I just thought with what they did and how they shored up their goaltending, I just thought that for sure they would be top 1 or 2 in the North Division this year. That's a mind-boggling kind of thing that happened to them this year. But who knows what would have? I mean, they're kind of playing like crap now. But it in the shortened season, it just seemed anything could happen if you did go into the pooper for a little bit. It would have been tough to get out, but they just really didn't show any signs of getting out of that funk. They had that one little boost with a coach change, but that fell apart pretty much as quick as it came in. So I would have to say the Flames are the biggest surprise for me to not miss the to miss the playoffs.
Cass, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I had the Flames finishing first in the North. So,
oops,
whoops.
You know what?
That's a pretty big disappointment.
I think it might be unanimous. I mean, you look at what else, and I mean, we did say any of the 6 teams outside of Ottawa, could make the postseason. But if you look at everything here, Dallas ravaged by COVID early there in the season. They're 4 points back of Nashville, but running out of time here big time. St. Louis is going to make the playoffs, but they've been a little disappointing to me so far this year. The Rangers, and we'll talk about this a little bit more with Keeper Clippett. I mean, the Rangers are kind of where I expected them to be. To me, it comes down to Philly or Calgary as the 2, and that's really it. So I think I'd agree with you guys on Calgary. I mean, they even did the old coaching change mid-season to really get things on track, and it just didn't didn't work. And there was a decent little buzz around them coming out of last year. And you're right. Once they added Markstrom, I think we all spoke very highly or had some decent expectations for them. So yeah, let's make it unanimous. The Calgary Flames are the biggest disappointment in the National Hockey League this year. And I don't think that's just coming from a podcast based in Edmonton. I honestly think it's right up there. Well, we'll ask Chris Abbott. Chris Abbott from Coolbet is going to join us. They're the presenting sponsor of Two Guys and a Goalie. Once again, if you sign up for an account at coolbet.com, use the bonus code 2GUYS, number 2 in the word guys, and you get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. Let's bring in Chris wearing that sweet Coolbet swag. Abbott, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are we doing today, fellas?
We're hanging in there.
Are you taking care in Alberta?
Yeah.
We're on the verge of a lockdown here right away. We got till Friday, and then things get tightened up a little bit. So we're enjoying the next couple of days, Chris.
This isn't our first rodeo, Chris.
No.
Hey, don't mention rodeos right now, Gager.
There was an illegal one this weekend, wasn't there?
Yeah. There's no rodeos around here, Chris. Hey, you're in Newfoundland right now, right?
Yeah.
What time is it there? Are you like that half hour ahead yet or no?
It's 4 p.m. here.
Crazy. 3.5 hours.
Crazy.
Our province thinks so highly of itself that we needed our own time zone. I think there's 2 places in the world that have their own like half-hour time zone. Newfoundland is one of them. So yeah, hour and a half ahead of Eastern time. So what's that? 3.5 ahead of you guys, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Needless to say, I haven't been watching many games being played in BC or Alberta this last 2 weeks.
It's crazy.
Chris, since you're back in the homeland, I'm wondering because I only was there during the dead of winter, and usually it was past a certain time of night on George Street. Can you give us a feeling of what that street actually is like in the summertime? Because many a night I crawled back to the Holiday Inn from that street, and just to see it actually in the summer with a little bit extra light, is it better? Because I can't imagine it actually getting any better than it actually was. It was a lot of fun. Are you out? Is it Jungle Gym still there? Is that?
Yeah,
is that
there's
still?
most of the places have either changed name, ownership, or both. But Jungle Gym's, the restaurant, is still there in the corner. It's actually part of one of my favorite pubs right now, which is called Shamrock City. It's an Irish bar. But yeah, so first of all, I forgot you guys used to stay at the Holiday Inn. That wasn't that close to downtown whatsoever.
It wasn't. No, not at all.
So back in those days, there was like 4 hotels in the city that were worth staying at. Now we're a little bit better here. I say I haven't lived here in like 15 years. But yeah, it's there's a lot more amenities that would have been, most cities would expect. But to answer your question about George Street in the summertime, you've been to the Stampede, I presume. You've been to you've spent plenty of nights in Hamilton, but it doesn't compare. It's there's a lot of short dresses, there's a lot of short tempers, and there's a lot of tall drinks. So it's a good time.
Oh, is the ballet still across the
for mini
street?
skirts?
Yeah, that's more
the ballet. There's a couple of performing arts bars. Yep, and not quite as good as they were, but I think that the allure wears off as you get older as well. I mean, when I was 19 and 20, you feel like you're doing something like you should not be doing, and now when you're pushing 40, it's like, yeah, I should not be doing this, but for another reasons.
Yeah.
Hey Chris, random question. Since you're out there, you're from there. You a big seafood guy?
My family used to own a seafood restaurant, Hernan. I hate it. I don't eat seafood at all.
What?
Yeah, I used to make fish and chips every single day of my life, but I don't eat it. I don't like it. The last bit of seafood I had, I mistook. I was at it was actually in Halifax. I was at the casino. Shocker. And I was actually in the high limit room, and I walk over to like they had these like chafing dishes out with spreads, and I was like, oh, onion rings, sweet. But it was calamari, and that was not a happy moment for my mouth whatsoever.
God, that sounds like something I do, buddy. 100%.
I was like, of course we have onion rings in the high limit room. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense when you're playing hundreds of dollars per hand. Hey, why don't you come over here and have some onion rings, Chris? Gager, what was the number on the Oilers for the Cup right now? You said it's moved from 24 to 21?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I went to 21. So I'm is that are we going to see a lot more movement on favorites going down the stretch there, Chris, or is it going to
I think they're probably locked where they're at now until the playoffs start. I don't think you'll see a whole lot of movement. I think 21 for the Oilers is actually really good at this point.
Yep.
Montreal still can't score. We don't know, like they're not the same team without Brendan Gallagher, so we don't know how healthy or if he'll be back. You guys know how I feel about the Maple Leafs eventually blowing this at some point. So I guess the Oilers are in the Final Four now, and they're 21-1. So I think that's a good one to grab.
I got another playoffs related question here. Just because I haven't looked, Gage, or maybe you know this too, are there any early favorites here right now for Conn Smythe? Do we have any Conn Smythe odds yet?
No, they'll come out probably right after the regular season and before the playoffs start, and then again probably after the first round. That's a great question. Let's see. Nathan McKinnon would be one I would think about. Marc-Andre Fleury would be a guy I think about. Andrei Vasilevsky would be a guy I think about. I think Tampa's going to be real interesting. I mean, if Stamkos and Kucherov can be healthy, they might be sneaky to make another run here.
No love for Mike Smith.
I'll tell you what, if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, there might be another guy who gets the nod there.
Yeah.
Well, I see the Oilers winning a Stanley Cup based on low-scoring games with little output from Connor McDavid. So that should probably be the case. Chris, as always, buddy, we appreciate you're going to take some time off, right? We won't catch up with you next week. We're going to catch up with Patty.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off and try and enjoy the East Coast 7 or 8 degrees and cold sunshine, whatever we have out here. But Pat Gregoire is going to be by. Pat's an absolute beauty. Played Division 8 lacrosse in Buffalo, so you can get on him for that. I think it was D3, but good guy. And he's got lots of takes. Big golf guy, likes golf.
Excellent. All right, buddy. Well, enjoy your time off, and we'll catch up next week.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Talk soon.
There you go. That's Chris Abbott, who I start to sense he's gone into some sort of witness protection program out east. First, he relocates to Newfoundland, and now, after quarantine, he's going off the radar for a couple of weeks. Something seems sketchy to me, boys.
Cass, Gage, are you guys seafood guys? Because I know Dusty's not.
Ever since that Seaspiracy, I shut it down, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
have you watched that documentary?
No.
It's a documentary on Netflix. It's frightening. Absolutely frightening.
That. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, give it a whirl.
I'm not a big fish guy, but I never have been. I don't mind a good whitefish if it's prepared well is good. But I don't eat it that often. I stopped eating salmon very frequently. I don't really like salmon. And again, same thing unless it's done very, very well. But that was because on the road playing, you had typically 2 options every game day. Pre-game meal was chicken or salmon. And so you eat a lot of really bad salmon, because it's just basically boiled and overcooked and just horrible. That and broccoli. I still don't I don't like the smell of steamed or boiled broccoli is just I can't deal with it because I just ate it way too much, however many times a year for years and years. So so not big on seafood. I love sushi. I love walleye. That is one. And then I do like sea bass if it's cooked correctly is really good. So if it's done properly, I like it, but I don't eat it that often.
That's the name of my Tecmo team, Cass. The
Chilean sea bass. It's a great brand. It's a big brand.
Is it deep fried? Do you like walleye the deep fried though? Right, Cass?
Or pan. You can pan fry it. I mean, there's a couple different ways to do it, but there used to be actually in Minnesota when I was playing there was and it closed down, which is too bad. Last time I was there, but there was a restaurant called Axel's Bonfire and Grill, which was a staple it wasn't far from the hotel. and they had a really good walleye dish. And so that would be like, I frequented eating that there because their walleye was really good. Minnesota, actually, there's a lot of walleye, so you can get it at a lot of places there. That I really liked. Usually not like fish and chip style walleye. Like you bread it, fry it in the pan. It's pretty tasty.
Yeah.
We went on a cruise to Alaska. There's a lot of fish up there, and I basically just stuck to the fish and chips. That was about it. Like I have two seafood stories, and that's it. One, when I was right out of school in broadcasting, I was working for Lethbridge Shaw Cable TV, like in Lethbridge, and they're like, "We'd like you to host." Actually, I was still in college at the time. Like, we want you to host like this cooking show, and I was just like, "Man, I'll do it because it's an opportunity here." But I don't really like to eat anything fancy, so we go. Very first one we did, I'm in the kitchen with this chef at this place called Fire and Ice, and they're making calamari and everything, and I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then they like have the camera, and they're like, "All right, let's taste it." And I was like, "Okay," and it's just like, you could probably tell my face. I'm like, "Oh, it's really good. Like, this is great." It was not good. And then just this week, my wife makes this fish casserole dish that the kids absolutely love. Last time she made it, Marshall went up, got $10 out of his wallet and paid her for the meal. Like, that's how much he loved it. But so yesterday or 2 days ago, we were having a little bit of a spat, Tam and I, and she looks at me, she goes, "I'm making fish casserole for dinner tonight." And I was like, "Oh, you're making fish casserole out of spite for how you feel about me right now?" So it was, So I ended up giving in, and we had tacos for dinner, but it was a major threat. So yeah, you guys enjoy your seafood, and I'll just sit over
Fish
here with some
tacos.
burgers.
I got one of those air fryers the other day, actually. So excited to try that out. I actually did veggies in there. They were pregame veggies, though, Cass. So you saying that, I remember the pregame going in, and yeah, the broccoli, the carrot, and the cauliflower pregame.
Yep.
Oh God, yeah. So I tried it in there, and it was the same thing. Kinda
It's a
gross.
game. It's a game changer, though, eh? Those
Yeah,
air
no, I
fryers.
did some chicken in there. It was
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
I gotta get one. now.
All right, let's keep rolling with. We got to talk about it. 2 Oilers topics left to get to, and then we'll get into keep it or clip it. This has just been a Yellowstone seafood extravaganza here so far today. I'll go next, and then we'll get to Gager. Dave Tippett today saying that they don't plan on resting Connor McDavid between now and the end of the season. I think he went as far as saying they don't even really plan on dialing his minutes back a bit here at all. I mean, outside of the rare injury in a game that doesn't mean anything, I don't mind this idea, but at the same time, I'm a little surprised by it. Cass, let's start with you, man. What do you think if McDavid's got 100 points and the last game of the season doesn't mean anything? Still roll him out there for 20 minutes or what?
They'll play him less. I know what they're saying. They'll play him less if that situation. They want to get him to 100, certainly. McDavid wants to get to 100, and I know he says it's not really a big thing. It's just a number. And he's going to stick to that, like, and kind of be neutral on it. But let's be serious. He wants to get 100. The team and organization wants him to get 100. The league wants him to get 100. They're going to play him until he does. And they don't want to take him off the ice. I don't think he's the type of player that is going to not want to play at all. But if he hits 100, you're going to see his minutes drop significantly. He'll still play power play. He'll still get out there to keep the wheels going, but you'll see him, at that 15 to 20 minute mark versus over 20. Like his minutes just instantly drop if he hits 100.
Gage, you're one of those situations where if he's got 100, there's a couple games left, he's playing, but instead of attacking the D-man 1 and 2 and trying to drive wide balls out to the side to the net, you kind of just chip that in and head off on a change. Like,
Yeah, I hope so. I don't think that's in him, though. Maybe
I know.
That's the thing. I don't think he can help himself. I mean, really, Dusty, I think it's safer for him to go right at the D-man than trying to go wide and get his feet cut out from underneath him. But yeah, like Cass said, I think we're just going to see if he does hopefully get to 100 here quick. I think we'll see his minutes go down by a few minutes a game. Tippett will start distributing minutes throughout the whole lineup. I think a little bit more even. Try to do that 4-line thing, and it's, let's face it, it's an audition for a lot of these guys right now. Like, and that's kind of what we're going into. What I got to talk about is the Bouchard.
Hernan, any thoughts on McDavid and the lack of, or I mean, they're saying no significant rest, but what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with the guys. I hopefully he can get to 100 sooner rather than later here, and then his minutes will go down. And let's say there's 2 games left. I'm pretty sure they'll sit him 1. I mean, Dave Tippett's just saying that because they still got 5 games. They still want Connor to get those 7 points. So I'm with the guys. I think you'll see his minutes drop, and hell, he might even sit out the last game just to get some rest.
Gager, what do we got to talk about, buddy?
Well, the young Bouchard, seeing him in the lineup for the first time in a few months here, and I don't know. I watching the game, when you bet on the game, you look at the game a little bit different. When you have certain people to score, get points, shots on goal, so it provides a completely different aspect to look. Because really, I'm betting on other guys to have shots on goal, at least on the Oilers too at points. So watching Bouchard defend, that's what I kind of zeroed in on last game. He had a great goal. They like his shot. He has one of those real heavy, quick shots that's deadly accurate, which is nice to see. His passing, some of the passes were ridiculous, but watching him in the defensive zone, I'm not sure if, and you guys, I'd like to hear your opinion on this, but I'd like to, just the way he defends, he seemed a little bit slower, and not as quick to jump on players and close gaps, but he was still in pretty good position, and I don't know if his hockey IQ is high enough to where he's defending and reading the play instead of reacting to it and trying to be a little bit more safe, because I found that he was a little bit behind. I'm not sure if his foot speed is completely there yet to play consistently at the NHL level on the defensive side, or is he just thinking and trying to stay in a good enough position? But I found that it looked like he was a hair behind, but also I think he was kind of reading the play and seeing maybe playing it a little bit safe. But I'd like to hear what you guys think of his game last game.
Take her away, boys.
I thought he was, defensively, I thought he was okay, Gage. I kind of agree with you sometimes. His passing is elite. He gets himself and his team out of trouble with his passing. You saw him walk that line on the power play for the goal. So I think he does have the tools and the tool belt to be a regular right now. But I just think when you're looking at the right side, and I know in the text earlier to the group, you're like, to play him or not. I don't think it's a case where Bouchard is just, he's terrible and he can't play. I just think the 3 guys ahead of him are ahead of him. I mean, Larson, Barry are not coming out. They've been excellent this season. And Ethan Bear, I know he had a slow start, but Ethan Bear's looking like the player he was last season, which was a hell of a defenseman who was on your top pairing. So I think Bouchard's a good guy to have as your 4th right now. Can he improve defensively? Sure. That's not his strong suit. He's always going to be more of that offensive guy, but I like what I see from him though, Gage. I do. He, like I said, he makes subtle little plays that not a lot of guys on the D-core here can make, and to get his team out of trouble. Does he need to improve defensively? 100%. But right now, I don't mind him in that 4th spot. I hope we see him here. He's out tonight, by the way. Him and
they're bringing Jones and Bear back in, right?
Yeah. So for me, I get it. I like him. Is there things to work on? Yes. But the 3 guys ahead of him should be the guys starting right now in the playoffs. So that's my take.
Go ahead, Cass.
You have a guy that just didn't play a game in however many months, so he's going to be a little bit cautious.
63 days he didn't play.
Yeah,
but sometimes you think it's overzealous too. Like that's what I was surprised, like because he was he was poised, but I didn't know if his foot speed was there. It was weird.
Yeah, like here's the thing, Gager. Like if he goes and he tries to play, full on defense and like take away a ton of time and space and play super aggressive, and he makes a mistake, guess what he thinks is going to happen?
Yeah, you're right.
He's not going to play for 3 months.
For another 63 days and not play. That's what not playing a guy does. That's what not playing a guy does. That's why you got to play people. You can't leave them sitting there for that long because you're not going to get the best out of them when you do. Like all of a sudden he's playing cautious and he's playing hesitant and he's He's not doing what he needs to. So again, I don't think, and I've said this multiple times, not playing him for so long isn't going to affect the ultimate player he becomes. I don't think it does. Not for 2 months. It's just like if he was injured for 2 months, it's not going to change ultimately the player he becomes. However, from a short-term standpoint and short-term development, it certainly slows down when, how fast he is able to mature into the player he needs to be. Because just things like this, I think he was fine. I think normally, like he got voted, the smartest defensive player or smartest player in the OHL, 2 years in a row. So not just 1 year in a row, but 2 years in a row. I think he's got hockey IQ. I think defensively his hockey IQ is there. I just think he was scared. He was scared of making a mistake and not getting played.
That's the reason why because he won that award 2 years in a row. That's why I'm thinking, God, is he really that cerebral to be thinking the game to stay in position, or is he a little bit hesitant? It makes sense what you said, Cass. That's how young guys coming into the lineup that haven't played definitely feel. It's overcautious because they know if they do something that results in a goal, they're probably riding pine. So,
and Legason looked similar, right? Legason looked similar, right? Like he was kind of not wanting to make that mistake, right? So,
Well, Gage, I was just going to ask you. I mean, it'd be like you stepping in as a backup goalie. Like if you're starting a game, like if you're worried about making a mistake, like maybe you're not as aggressive as you need to be, or you're not pushing out. You're sitting back in your net a little bit more, and you're just wanting to make sure you eliminate that big mistake, because if you rush out at somebody, puck could end up in your net and it's your fault.
Yeah, that happened a lot actually.
I just have two things to add. First of all, the only thing I can think about is Bouchard for next year and how it impacts this blue line next year. Because, I mean, if you want Barry back, it's going to cost you a little bit, and then you're still going to probably have Lars. Like, I don't know what they do on that right side next year, because they're going to want Bouchard to play, I think. So, and from a style perspective, Barry would be the guy he would replace. So are you confident in a Bear, Larson, Bouchard right side? Would you trade Bear for a forward and run with a Barry, Larson, Bouchard right side? But if you don't keep Larson, Barry, Bear, and Bouchard, I don't know if that's the right build up. Or maybe there's a chance they have all four, which I highly doubt. But I think we could do a whole, we will. We will do a whole episode on the Oilers blue line in the offseason, because it's intriguing. You guys got any early thoughts on this?
The one thing that Oiler fans should be happy about is they have probably the best evaluator of defensemen as a GM available to him. The guy that he's had Lidstrom, he's got all those, he's seen some elite defensemen from a younger age. So his eye of seeing how a guy plays and if he can play, that's encouraging. So I don't know. I'm sure Bouchard fits in there somewhere. But that's going to be a good episode, Dusty.
And Dusty, it's interesting because on the post-game show on Tuesday, we got a ton of texts saying, you walked from Barry in the offseason, and because Bouchard's that guy. And me and Tom were kind of like, well, is Bouchard going to be a 44 points in 51 games kind of guy next year? I careful what you wish for. I get it. It's got the money's got to make sense, but to think Bouchard's going to step in and do what Barry does, I'm a little hesitant to give him that right now. I think Bouchard's going to be a hell of a defenseman, but next year, I don't know. And we got a ton of texts saying that, with Bouchard's last game, that the Oilers should move on from Barry in the offseason. I'm like, whoa.
Well, we have no idea. We have no idea if they should, because
exactly
Bouchard hasn't played.
But he scored.
We just don't know.
But he
right?
scored.
We just don't know. We just don't know. But I'll tell you what is going to happen. Guys, is that Bear and Jones are going to get traded to the Buffalo Sabres for Jack Eichel.
We'll have a trade proposal episode in the offseason too. That'll be a highlight of it. All right, let's get to keep it. Or Hernan, you got something to say? You're holding the pen up like you want to talk.
No,
you just do that lazy pen thing where it starts to make the Flipping your hand there. All right, let's get to Keep It or Clip It. 4 questions for you on Keep It or Clip It. If you're watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast today. You can answer these questions as well. Let's start with that second line right now. Nuge, Cahoon, and Yamel. The new Nuge line isn't built for playoff success. Keep it or clip it.
Ooh.
Ooh. I'm gonna clip it. They'll get worn down in a 7-game series.
So you keep it.
No, I keep it. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. No, all good.
Yeah, I'll keep it too. They're just so tiny.
I'm gonna clip it because I think they end up being a survival line. They just need to survive, not get too worn down, not get too beat up, and just let that top line run rampant. So I'm gonna clip it.
Question number 2.
What do you have?
Mike
Looney
Smith?
Tunes character there, Cass?
Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen is the most likely duo in net for the Oilers next season again. Keep it or clip it.
Ugh.
Keep it.
I'll
Keep it. That's the most likely. That's Koskinen's still in a contract, and after this year that Smith has had, you kind of have to offer him one. So keep it.
I'll clip it. I think one of them will be gone. I think they'll try everything in their power to move Koskinen. I know it's easier said than done. But they move Lucic, so I mean anything could happen. So I only think one of them is back, Dusty.
I'm gonna clip it. Here's what's gonna happen. Koskinen's gonna go to the coast, Seattle. I think Mike Smith's going to sign for $8 million a year in Colorado, and I'm going to work out all summer and be the next starting goal of the Oilers next year.
Gager versus Stalock for the number 1 spot. Will you still join us on the podcast, Gager?
Oh, I'll have to after the first week, Dusty. Don't worry about that.
We'll hold your place for a week. All right, the Rangers firing Jeff Gordon and John Davidson doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. Keep it or clip it.
Doesn't make any sense. Clip it. I think they were grooming Chris Drury to become the next president GM all along. So that was the plan.
Clip it. I agree 100% with Gager. Gager is correct. It probably was getting to the point where Drury said, listen, guys, I'm going to start getting offers elsewhere and looking elsewhere. I want an opportunity. And they decided to pull the trigger.
I'll keep it. I think the GM they fired, what's his good old name there? Gordon. Gordon. Look what he's done. Look what he's brought in. I think he was doing a really good job there. So I'll keep it.
Yeah, it's weird to me that did Drury say, I want Davidson gone too? Like it's a little strange to me, but you guys do make a good point. I mean, they've been grooming Drury here for a long time. Final question. If the Oilers don't win a round in this year's playoffs, the season will be viewed as a failure. Keep it or clip it.
Oh,
keep it.
It's tough.
Keep it. No, the season will be. Everyone's going to view the people here in Edmonton are going to. They're going to be very, very, very upset. They will absolutely shred everything that happened over the course of the year. They will nitpick about defense. They will nitpick about forwards. They will nitpick about line combinations, and they're just going to go bonkers. So yeah, absolutely. If they lose in the first round, I think it is viewed as a huge negative, and people go a little bananas.
The number one thing, if they don't get out of the first round, that will be brought up, Dusty, is Taylor Hall.
Oh, come on.
Because they didn't go out and get it.
Come on. Please,
I guarantee.
No, we almost made it through the episode, you bastard.
I guarantee you that. I guarantee you. But hey, listen, I'll say this. It's hard for me to say it's a disappointment because this team is not a regular playoff team. They haven't had playoff success outside of 1 year in 2017 since 14 years. So I won't look at it. I will be disappointed that they're out, but I won't look at it as a disappointment. They're one win away from locking up second, and depending, I guess, on how they lose in that first round, but I won't see it as a disappointment because this team is not a consistent playoff team.
I am going to clip it. Yeah, you can't. Having 100-point player on your team, you're expected to do a little bit more, I think, with the season Mike Smith's having. But saying that, I think if they win the North, I think they would be fine losing in the conference final. And I think it shouldn't be a banner. It should be an iron throne given to the team that wins the North Division with hockey sticks.
I like it. That's exactly what we're going to do. That's great, Gager. Brilliant idea. Hey, before we wrap up, Gager, I got to know, you probably referenced betting about 6 or 7 times in this episode. How many different bets are you placing on the Oilers every single night?
You want to see? You want me to just read it out? I can.
Yeah. Give it to me.
Hold on. One sec here. We'll just let the old machine go to work here. Coolbet.com. Thanks, Chris Abbott. We will go to the old history here. And so tonight we have the correct score will be Oilers 4-2. The Jesse will score. Leon will score. We're gonna throw an empty net goal in there tonight, Dusty. Little sprinkle on that. Con McDavid's gonna have over for 2.5, and Brock Besser's gonna score, unfortunately. And Jesse and Brock will both have 1 point.
Wow. All right. Episode 140. Gager, the degenerate. Excellent. That's great. But remember, stay cool and bet responsibly with CoolBet. Sign up for an account today and use the bonus code too, guys. Boys, have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Good episode today, guys. Thanks a lot.
Awesome, boys. Later.
There you go. For Gager, Salas, and Kassian, I'm Nielson. Thanks for downloading the podcast. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back on Monday.